Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Sorry we're a little bit late. We were just trying to get all the technical bits together, but we're here for the hotly anticipated. Honestly, this session has had so many people sign up to it. So because there's so much we're going to get out of it. So this is all about how to be a content creator. So obviously you've got Facebook, then we've got Instagram, now we've got TikTok. And this year has just been amazing for everyone harnessing their creativity. And I'm just so delighted to have Tabitha Willett and Ola I've got to say Pelovangu here today, because in the last year, basically your feeds have blown up, and I have been obsessed with all your content. You are both mums. You are both ripping up trees. I cannot thank you so much for being here today. Welcome, Tabitha and Ola.
Thank you for having us.
Right, we've got a lot to get through because there's so much good stuff here. So, first of all, Tabitha, how did you get into content creation?
I think it probably started, I would say about a year ago, maybe just over a year ago. When I all properly started when I started talking to the camera on my stories. I also, I had a bit of a platform from filming on television. And from there on, it just sort of, I loved being creative and putting things out there.
But that's when but it was in the last year that your followers have really sort of leapt up and your engagement has leapt up.
Exactly.
Ola, how about you?
So I'd say like with full-time content creating, it started mainly at the beginning of the first lockdown where we were thrown together as a family. I say thrown together, but and we just started creating a lot more together as a family. My account started as a beauty account years and years ago, but it was only since I'd say the beginning of the first lockdown that we were purposeful with like our content creating.
Honestly, your TikToks are absolutely sensational. And honestly, so I'll get Sophie to put both your tags in the feed. Your family are amazing. Your daughter honestly gives me life. She is absolutely sensational. And I think I first discovered you we were watching all these Christmas TikToks, my daughter and one with your daughter came up, which was right. So a lot of people that we've got here today are wanting to get into influencing. Like, is there ever a right time to do it? Do you have to prepare like a backlog? Do you need to say, right, I'm going to start doing this in a couple of months' time and I'm going to have a lot of content ready prepared? Or is it like just let it grow organically and let it go from there?
I mean, for me, sorry, I'm going to jump in first.
Yeah, go.
I think that rather than sort of planning forward and looking at what you're going to do, I would look back at the last sort of 6 months and over the last sort of couple of seasons, I think, because the content changes throughout the year. And I would see what organically is doing quite well and what doesn't get as much engagement from, and maybe work on from that. And if you don't think that that's a particularly reliable source, I would just start from where you are, and don't necessarily plan and think, oh, I want to have, a really, really regimented feed. I just think just start with whatever you think looks good and then just take notes. And like for me, I noticed that if I have my face in the content, my engagement is so much higher. If I am super honest in my caption, and also if I do quite a long caption rather than sort of like a little inspirational quote, my engagement is so much higher. So it's little things like that you'll start picking up on. And I think that's my advice for just starting out.
Ola, how did you sort of get into it and how did you plan?
Yeah, I think my first thing would be to kind of find a niche. It's so important because social media is very saturated right now, and everybody is in the space creating something that they are passionate about. But if there is something that you are passionate about that can align with your audience, and like Tabitha said, you kind of looked at insights because it's quite readily available to a lot of us to be able to see what's working, what's not working, what to push a little bit more. that niche will make you be able to create content that makes your content stand out and it's unique. And if we're talking about content creation that possibly leads to brand partnerships, you can then own your own within the fact, I mean, we're known as the TikToking plantain loving family. And I can sit there and probably confidently saying, there'll be families that do TikTok, there'll probably be families who love plantain, but to find a niche and carve yourself that original niche is what's going to be able to give you that standout. And also understanding what format works best for the sort of content you want to put out there. Are you really good with videos, say, or are you better with like really high quality images? Or like Tabitha said, are you do you like speaking to people on stories? So really understanding what format to lead with is going to give you that sort of, okay, this is where I know that my audience is, because we get very bogged down by looking around us and seeing, oh my gosh, everybody's doing this challenge or everybody's doing this, I need to do that too. If you're not that great, I know an amazing account who doesn't like showing her face, but she has thousands and thousands of followers, but she just commands the audience with her voice. Some people have followers, but they don't have an audience. Some people have an audience, but they don't necessarily have followers, as so the social media world will see it. And having an audience is so much more important than having followers.
So, okay, this comes back to the big question. So, okay, so engagement or followers, that's what you're saying. So you're saying if you've got people who are engaged in your content, the value to that is so much more than just having a number ticking up.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, on paper, people think that if you have to have, I see people think about, 10K, I need the swipe up. But what are you doing with 2K right now that you're doing to kind of send your audience to different other platforms, whether it's a blog, that you should be doing what you're doing now, the same as what you would do when you get to 10K. And that's where the consistency comes in.
Okay, so you were talking about insights as well. Now, I thought you could only get insights if you had a business account on Instagram. That is that wrong, or should you make your personal account a business account? Sorry, quick question for me.
Did you want to go, Tabitha?
I know. I mean, I was going to say I'm not 100% sure. Do you know?
So it's a creator account will open up the insights to you, and it's in everybody's best interest if you're looking to possibly monetize the platform and you want to see what works, what demographics, what's had the most replies, to have that creator account. And they've changed, there's a business account, there's a creator account, and there's a personal account. And they
So if you go creator, this is where this is where you can look and put ticks in the boxes of what works. Do you have any hints on tips in how to build your community then? So let's say I'm on 2,000 and I want to get to 10,000. What are your tips to sort of get there?
My biggest tip would be to engage with your audience already. And like Ola said, if you've got 2,000 or even 500 or less, then if you engage with the people that are engaging with you, anyone that comments on your picture, anyone that sends you a message, reply. I reply to maybe like 200 messages a day sometimes, just because, sort of, where's your eyeshadow from, or little things like that. But that is the relationship that you want to make in order for more people to start following. And then also, it's not just from that. I would then also engage with the accounts that you find inspirational and that you think that you want to have a similar audience to. So you start commenting on their pictures, and if they know what they're doing, they'll also reply to you, and you begin to create this incredible sort of community, and it's just so supportive and really lovely. I just think, definitely engage with your audience.
I feel like, just to add to what Tabitha said as well, knowing where your audience pain points and where their passion points are. So their pain points and passion points is so important, because if it matters to them, it should in a way matter to you, because they're looking to you to deliver and create content that's going to meet them at where they are at that point of life. And just like my account started as a beauty account, and as I've grown up and had babies, so has my audience as well. So we've all kind of progressed to this caring about things, whether it's motherhood or stressful work like maternity leave and stuff. So you have to understand, as you're growing, your audience is growing as well. There would have been a time that your audience would have said 18 to 24, and then it will kind of grow older. So you need to kind of not be afraid to have organic content that talks about pain and passion points that meet your audience at their point of need.
But when you start, though, going back to what you've discussed, it's about having potentially like the pillars that you get known for. So Ola, beauty was yours. Tabitha, I know you do a lot of beauty and fashion. But then what you're saying is then from those key pillars that you have at the start, move outwards as you grow. Am I right? Because Tabby, you've gone a lot more lifestyle-y from being quite fashion and beauty.
It's a tough one talking about pillars, because that's actually something that I have not necessarily struggled with, but I very much thought when I was starting out and monetizing my platform and things like that, that I needed to stick to these pillars and be either a mummy blogger or a fashion influencer or a beauty person or cooking or something like that. And quite frankly, I wasn't more one than the other. And so mine is very much sort of lifestyle, but I think a lot of my audience, it's what they want to see as well. They want to see sort of my life and I'm sure Ola's this, I follow Ola, love her account. But yeah, I don't think I think having a niche is very important, and knowing what the content that you want to put out, but also it can be quite daunting.
Yeah, I totally agree with Tabitha on that as well. And it's daunting because you're like, it's hard not to look at what everybody else is doing on social media, but you almost have to keep pulling yourself back to why you started, what you're doing and what's working for you. Just going to one of the questions I see is in the Q&A and pulling that in as well. It's like formats change very regularly on TikTok or on Instagram with what the platforms are choosing to push. So understanding the fact that if Instagram has just started talking about carousels, or they've started talking about stories, or they're pushing the guides or the IGTV, how can you adapt your content to be able to deliver the same passion points in those particular ways? And understanding that people want to be led by emotion, people are led by a feeling. And when I see silent stories, or it's just, I mean, sometimes people want to read, but the power of audio and music in your platform is so like, it's one that I feel like a lot of people probably don't really, I'm just going to put this up, stick a really nice track that you like on there, and it will move a lot more people to action than if you just put a static post. So
Yeah,
going to Steph's question, video apparently promotes more authenticity. People can see how things move, what it looks like and stuff, as opposed to an image, which in the social media world could have been edited or altered. So video gives a lot more people confidence.
So this is real and about being real and authentic, which Tabby goes back to when you were saying, when you started talking about your real life experiences and being your authentic self,
yeah,
then everything started to happen.
Exactly. And realistically, you want your audience to be able to relate to you, or yeah, you want your audience to be able to relate to you. So the more real you are, the more relatable you are, I think.
Okay, and then obviously, you know, we're talking to people who are in the beauty industry at the moment, hair, beauty, wellness industry, and there will be I think, you know, the beauty industry are the new sort of influencers, you know, of a generation. But using social media, how do you get to the moment where you can start earning from your platform? And there are things like, how do you work with affiliates? Because for a lot of people watching this, it's like, I don't even know where to start, yet I know that I'm good at what I do. Let's say I've got 3,000 followers. What would you do there? And what would you do if you've got more than 10,000 followers? Tabby, I'll go to you and then I'll go to you, Ola.
Okay, so for me, and I'm very much still learning as I go, but in terms of affiliates, I am with a company called Reward Style, and I am not an expert with them at all, but they are a really, really useful company to get involved with if you're looking to try and make some money. And they're also really, really open to accepting new content creators. And I actually had a meeting with them, and they met with me, and they literally held my hand and talked me through it. And I'm sure that the girls there are doing Zoom meetings at the moment to teach you how to sort of download the app, how to put the links in properly so you can start getting commission for things that people that buy through your links and things like that. And then the other way to sort of monetize is just a relationship with brands. So I'm sure lots of your therapists do have relationships with brands already, and Secret Spa does as well. And it's about using those, I think.
And And Ola, how do you sort of, which affiliate links do you do, and how did you sort of get into that side of things?
Do you know what? I've never used affiliate links. I've signed up, but I've kind of had a walkthrough with Amazon last week, because we share a lot of things on Amazon. And if I'm looking at my insights, and this is what I would kind of advise before getting into affiliates, look at getting into it because you know that your audience are already interested in that. And that's why I kind of chose to go down the Amazon affiliate route, because we have a family audience who are very much about, like, where did you get that microphone that you used for karaoke last Friday? Where did you get this from? So that made sense. But before you can get into affiliate, you have to build trust, because you can't just fling up links.
Can't stop blogging stuff to people.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, that's not authentic. You're trying to make money.
So much less organic. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's the content that surrounds your affiliate links that are going to drive the likelihood and the conversion of people wanting to follow those links, because you are a trusted voice within the community. You respond back to them, you speak to them.
So this comes back to when you're like engagement. Once you get to the stage where you're engaging with your audience lots, and then you're seeing that they're starting to ask you questions about your lifestyle, about the microphone you've used, then in your head you can go, right, okay, they're asking me where I got it. It is now appropriate for me to then say, guys, this is where I got it.
Yeah, totally. I think so. And also, because of your incredible therapists, the content that they'll be putting out might be sort of a makeup look or a hairstyle and stuff like that. They are using specific products, and they are also professionals. So anyone watching for tips and things like that, the good thing is, hopefully anyone watching is watching to get tips on the product and why they may recommend it or not. And so I think it would work really well with affiliates. But yeah, just a completely, like Ola said, keep it organic. Don't try and flog stuff because it's an extra 50 quid or anything like that. Yeah, just keep it super honest.
Let's go to these questions because we've got loads. Love to know about social media trends Ola and Tabitha predict for the future. So that's what, so I'll take it to you guys. Obviously TikTok and Reels have been the big ones this year.
Yeah, so TikTok and Reels have been the big one this year, but then you've had the emergence of things like Clubhouse, where it's audio only. And I'll go back to the fact that obviously my background is in radio and stuff as well, and looking at the power of sound. So things like therapists, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, the relaxation, and how you want people to feel good about themselves. So if you're looking to create content, layering that with like text that kind of has music with it can be the difference between what you're offering and what another therapist is offering. They'll feel connected to you because of the emotion of how you make them feel when they see your content. So in terms of what I feel like would be big, I think audio being included, whether it's music, whether it's voiceovers with creators voices when you can't even see it, is going to be still really, really big. And people becoming like an authority based on like collating other things and bringing other influencers and content creators into their space is going to be a trend as well, because people are appreciating the power of community over an influencer that's standalone.
Exactly. Right. So we've got a question from Paige. How do you edit your images on Insta so they have a pop to them, look bright? That's gone. I've missed it. It's now on the main thing. But do you have any filters, or are there any tools that you use for that?
I think that my page started looking like a professional page versus looking like more of an amateur page the second I started using an app called Lightroom. And with Lightroom, you can have these incredible presets, which you can create, or you can, I think they've got some on the app. And what it does is it creates an amazing consistency throughout all of your images, and it makes your grid look really, it sort of complements, all the pictures complement each other. They all use similar coloring. And VS Co is also another really, really good editing app. But again, I would say, yes, make your images pop and be coherent, but don't over edit. I think that's where people, it's a bit of a downfall.
Ola, what do you do?
I feel like this is probably going to be a little bit like to therapists who are about the aesthetic, and especially with beauty, but there's never been a time, as there is now, where what your feed looks like doesn't matter as much in terms of feed and colouring and stuff. And it is because you are seeing that people will still engage if the messaging is correct. People will still engage even if it is a word that relates to how they're feeling about homeschooling and stuff. And a lot of the accounts I followed, they don't have any flow or any sort of aesthetic about it. And I've seen a beauty account that's just very much free and flowing, because we don't do the same things every day. And it does then become a little bit monotonous, where you see the same, and that's where your engagement goes a little bit lower, because people are like, oh yeah, it's just another video. So you have to keep switching it up and not get too overly bothered about having a particular filter. I mean, we'll take a picture in the car and then just bang it on Instagram straight away. But before, when it was a beauty account and most of those posts are like archived now, it was very much, you would spend ages on Plannerly, on like planning the content and everything. But family life is so fast paced now that you bang it up, you just put it up there, and it'll probably relate to what's going on right now, or Boris announcing that the kids will go back in March or something like that. So it's just about really flowing.
About authenticity and being real.
Yeah.
Again, it just keeps coming back to this authenticity. So, okay, so a lot of content. So from Leanne, she's saying a lot of content is based on opinion. I worry what I have to say isn't factually correct and people might not agree.
I worry about this a lot, so you're not alone. And there is some backlash, but what I'm finding is that actually the community on Instagram is becoming kinder and kinder and kinder. And it's one of those things, if you put yourself out there, you kind of do need to be able to accept that. I think, especially as a parent, I remember one of the first times when I put my daughter in her car seat and I took a picture of her. And I think I got like 4 messages saying I did it wrong or something. I burst into tears. And so when you do put yourself out there, you might get something back that you might not want to hear. But the majority of the community on Instagram, people are there to follow you and support you. And
that's because and I guess when you have really engaged followers, they have your back.
Exactly. And also just to be really sort of open to it as well. I think what I did, and I learned this very early on, is coming back to it and going, oh my God, I'm devastated that I might have done that wrong or may have got this factually incorrect. But if you go back saying, God, thank you so much for your advice, and oh, like silly me, now I have learned, thank you for telling me, then again, it's engaging with your audience, and that is how you create your community.
There's one here. I thought you couldn't put music on your posts until you had a certain amount of followers.
No, you can use music, and plus there are other apps as well that you can use to create your video. I mean, an account that I absolutely love is Mrs. Hinch. I'm sure a lot of you follow her, and she tells a story. This is what and that's what stories are. I think people forget, and they just put the same stuff that's on their feed in their stories, and that's it. Please come and engage, drop the content and go, but they're not kind of like engaging back. It's not a two-way conversation. But if you look at her stories, she's very much of she starts with a good morning and she takes you through her day, and then there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. It doesn't feel disconnected. And there are days where you can put anything up, but it's nice because you're kind of posting as people are feeling during the day as well, and that kind of commands that. I keep going back to the emotion.
Doing that live journey with them. Yeah. I think you two are both brilliant at doing that. Because I'm always like, I always feel like I'm running around, and then you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, I've got a camera full of photos, whatever. And it's kind of like, but now dark and that photo's light. So that's really, really good advice. How do you find a balance between organic and real life and paid content? Sometimes I can just feel you're following someone and they're making money from you.
I think what some people are doing now, and another great person that has just shot up through lockdown, is Mama's Still Got It. Emily, I know you're a fan as well. And what she does is she does ad break. And when she does, and it's very important, first of all, to do paid content only with companies that you are so genuinely interested in, and that you genuinely think that your following will be interested in as well. Don't do something completely wacky. But yeah, what Mama's Still Got It does, which I think is really cool, is she does ad break and does little stars around it, so people know it's an ad, they're fully aware, but they trust what she says. And then she always does a little thing in her stories going, thanks guys for always supporting my my job, and I really genuinely love this, by the way, FYI, in case they are a new follower.
That's a really good thing. I'm just going to jump in and say, are you guys okay if we care? I know how important it is to a lot of people, but for anyone that's on that doesn't want to miss the start of Writing for Fun and Sanity with Marianne Power, I would switch over to that now. But are you guys happy to just do a couple more questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Can I just add to that a little bit with
defo, brilliant.
I think there's a bit of a balance, because I've noticed certain content creators almost fall into that hole where they over explain, and then they kind of draw out the people who may not like ads or who may not, and it's very much like, if you don't like it, if it's not your thing, then go on to the next one. I know this might not be your bag, but I worked really hard on this and I filmed it for you and it took me 10 hours, and you just put the ad up. And that's where I'm like, because you wouldn't get a warning when you were watching X Factor. It usually would be when you're at the peak of something, to be like, an ad just comes up, and they wouldn't be like, there's an ad break coming up. You have to think about it as well. It's a format of, well, where if your content is great, then stick it in the middle of something that sometimes, don't get me wrong, I will say we've got an ad break coming up later with the kids, but I don't like to get into the territory where people might deliberately want to skip it because you've let them know that it's coming up. And there are people like that on social. So it's about kind of having that balance where it's not like too much like, if you guys,
I guess, because then the brands won't put money with you, because they'll be like,
yeah, there's a bit of that as well. You want to keep the brand happy, and then also don't do sort of like 4 ads in a row followed by one piece of organic content. You know, really space it out and have your diary. Be quite organized about your shooting and your posting.
Amy is asking, do you procrastinate and overthink posting content? I have so much content stored on my phone, from clients' pics to videos, and I just seem to put off posting them.
I do sometimes. It sort of depends on the time of year, the time of the month, the time of like my mood massively. Sometimes I will literally put up, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Put up like an unfiltered photo and really not care, you know, and not think about the caption very much. And other times I will have a piece of content that has been ready to post for 4 days and I just can't quite bring myself around to doing it. Just listen to your gut, I think. But also if I were to give any advice, I'd say put it out there and then just be very conscious of the feedback and store it in your little locker.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think just posting it, I had someone, an influencer who was already big on Instagram, who was so scared to go into the TikTok space and that's happening a lot as well, when you've got so used to a platform and then a new platform pops up, and it's almost like you have to build your confidence on that new platform again, because you're not sure if your audience are going to cross over. Obviously, 40% of people who use TikTok aren't even on Instagram. So you're building a whole new audience there anyway. They're there for the laugh, they're there for the feel good, they're there to laugh. So if there is a platform that gives you the opportunity to get into the groove of just being you, look for that platform and start creating content on there until you feel comfortable and confident to repurpose that content and share it with your Instagram followers. And that's what a lot of people do. If you spot a trend on TikTok, knowing that a lot of people on Instagram haven't seen it, bring it over, because to them, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah,
and
this is so hot, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, this is trending on TikTok, guys, TikTok, like, kind of thing. And people thinking, like, now they've changed the formats that you can't repost a TikTok video in your stories with the watermarks, because the algorithm will actually demote it in terms of ranking.
Right.
So, because they did use the fact that it was like TikTok originally, but now they want to keep Instagram as Instagram. They don't want to keep seeing TikTok watermarks. So if you're posting reels or anything which is just just screen record it from TikTok and repurpose it on Instagram. Finding really nice workarounds like that means that you can
That's a really good bit of advice. That is a really good bit. So there's another question. How do you get a relationship with brands?
I think engage first, but I think just ask, get in touch with them and ask. And the worst thing that they can do is say no. And in terms of that, I mean, like, let's say you love NARS makeup, you know, contact them on Instagram. If you're happy with your content and your page as it is at the moment, and you think that it reflects how amazing you are as a therapist, then definitely put yourself forward, contact them, say, hi, it's really nice to meet you. I'm such a huge fan, this in particular, da da da. Or look at PR agencies and do exactly the same thing with them.
But make sure your feed as well is similar to their feeds, so that they, you know, so embody their brand as well.
If I were to give an example, one of my dream brands I've always wanted to work with is Jo Malone. And I have not been in touch with them thus far, because I don't think that, maybe I'm downplaying myself, but I don't think that my page currently reflects the Jo Malone aesthetic. So when the time is right, then put yourself out there. Yeah, that's my advice.
Ola, how do you work with brands?
Well, I think a lot of the relationships, I'd have to attribute it to the fact that obviously my background is in beauty as well. So I had that relationship with them, and have kept in touch with a fair few of the brands as I've had babies and stuff, and we could meet up for coffee and stuff. So relationships are a really big thing, even if you're going to an event and you're networking, leaving a lasting impression, and not just talking about you, really finding out what they want and where their plans are. I think that the main thing is, half the time we meet the right people, but we ask the wrong questions, or we talk too much about ourselves. And that's where working with brands for us, I mean, we're so thankful we have an amazing agency now, Mockingbird. But before then, for us, when you send an email, share top line. I'm not saying go into depth, how you feel your brand, even if you feel like your aesthetic is a little bit different. Do you know what? Your audience is a bit different to them, but it doesn't mean they don't shop with that particular brand. So, and a lot of the brands we work with us to create content that works in our natural style, not what they create on their feed, if you know what I mean. So it's dare to be different and dare to be similar. Whatever way you do, just do it anyway and try it and contact them.
Exactly, just do it.
Yeah.
I think we can circulate, so there's a couple of questions about photo apps and filters. We can follow up with that. We have discussed about business account or creator accounts. We're saying that, you know, you can get a creator account first up, so that's brilliant. I think we've covered off, there's a question about, is it bad to keep telling your followers you're monetizing the page? I think we covered that off when we talked about when Mama still got it, does her ad breaks, and actually being slightly authentic, but also not shying away from the fact you do want to earn as well. How did you do a little introduction for your first post, or just started posting things?
Oh, mine was so awkward. I think I literally picked up my camera and went, today I'm going to start talking to the camera, and if I don't, then like prompt me to. And I literally said it out loud, and from then on I couldn't really go back on my word. Yeah, that's what mine was.
There's one here. What if we post content and don't get much engagement? Is there a way that we can get more engagement?
Ola?
Yeah, I feel like with engagement, obviously, like Tabitha mentioned earlier as well, having those conversations and replying back to the comments that you have had. But if it hasn't got engagement, post the next one. I think too many of us get really stuck on the one that hasn't got engagement, rather than posting one that possibly is, like, in the time that you're wasting, kind of thinking, yes, analyze, but don't over-analyze. That's what I'm trying to say.
So keep moving forward, because actually it's gone and people actually want to know what you're doing next.
Yeah, and the accounts that have blown up, and what we always notice is, I mean, there was a TikTok that my daughter did, is you have to write a book as if no one's ever going to read it. You have to post as if no one's ever going to see it. But the day that one piece of content just catapult you into that space, then the rest, you've got content waiting for these people who are going to find your page that they can go back on.
I love that.
I love that. That's brilliant. How can I, so Ella says, how can I find a place for a plus size mixed girl in her 30s who has a voice but doesn't know how to use it?
Ola?
I feel like from reading that comment, you know that your voice, the confidence is what you need originally. And reading that is like, I feel like there's a niche there already. Plus size girl in her 30s who has a voice. So it's like, don't concentrate too much on what are plus size girls doing? What other mixed girls doing? Like, just do you. And I know it sounds a little bit like, oh yeah, just do me. Like, what is it you're passionate about? And your personality actually comes through. I think that's from Ella in that comment. So just let that shine through, and people will fall in love with who you are rather than who you think you're trying to make them like, kind of thing.
Exactly. So I think this is a perfect time to end. We could carry on doing this all day. This has been so amazing and so popular. I think that ends really nicely, which is what both of you have been saying, is once you guys were your true, real and authentic self, that's when the rest it all started to happen. And actually, by trying to be someone or something you think you should be is actually not real, and I guess your followers can tell.
Yeah.
Ladies, you've been absolutely sensational. I mean, bucket loads of advice. For anyone watching, you know, we're going to put as much of it together for you, and you know, we will pass it all back on. I think we've got your email, so we can follow up the questions I can see around the different apps to use for, like, etc. You guys have been amazing. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of day. That was an excellent session. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Namaste.
Thank you.